excellence in sports entertainment.
Pro wrestling talk from the four corners of parts unknown. This is That Wrestling Podcast.
Welcome to That Wrestling Podcast. The good bad guys of wrestling podcasts are back, and we're talking all things of the week that was in professional wrestling. Now, this week's show will be a little different. First off, Jason is not here. So sad. We are recording this on Wednesday night, and he's actually at the Lakers-Pelicans game. He got free tickets, couldn't pass it up. He may or may not be put into the game if Westbrook keeps playing like he is. We'll have to see about that. Second, we'll get our crown jewel preview and predictions later on in the show. But first, we want to welcome a special guest to That Wrestling Podcast. Now, this gentleman has been all over wrestling social media for the past year. You've probably seen clips of his that he posts from his school. He's a teacher, and he started a wrestling club. And in the past year or so, it's been a real treat to see these videos of his students getting excited over wrestling matches, going to live shows, and even getting a chance to meet wrestlers in his class. It's a real special thing this man is doing. Please welcome to That Wrestling Podcast, Victor Perry. Victor, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the intro. It was really nice.
Well, you're doing some great stuff, my friend, and we all have a ton of questions to get to. But I guess we have to start off by talking about just how did this all come about? I'm sure that's the number one first question people ask is just how does a wrestling club get started in the school and come together for you?
It just happened. It was literally organic. Like it wasn't a masterful plan. It just happened. The kids that I was teaching in that year, I'd already taught them the year prior. So like we had a relationship. And so it was easier for me to be myself. And I remember vividly, it's coming up literally, it's this month, a year, when the club was founded. Bianca Belair posted on her Instagram that she was coming to New York. And I was like, whoa, I'm going to go meet Bianca. Like I literally was like, I'm going to go. Like rent was actually due that day. And I was like, am I going to go pay for tickets or pay rent? And I was like, for tickets. Nice. And one of my students, he overheard me and I was like, go back to work. And he was like, no, but Mr. Perry, I really like wrestling. And so that's when I was like, oh, really? Like, I didn't know that. Like, I'll call your mom and I'll take you to meet Bianca. So he was like, yeah, please do it. And so I went to Survivor Series that Sunday by myself because I spent like $500, I think. It was crazy. Okay. I was just so excited to be I've been an adult for, I would say for a while, but never have experienced wrestling as an adult. So I just spent money to go to Survivor Series, and then the next day was meet Bianca.
And this was just after the pandemic kind of started to lift too, with like crowds, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was that year. And so the next day, it was a Monday, I took the kid to meet Bianca and didn't know that Monday Night Raw was going to be still in New York at the Barclays. So I was like, dang, like I wish I had known. Like I would have saved some money and then bought tickets for that as well. But then we were in line and they were like, here's a raffle ticket. After the meet and greet, if you stay, we're going to do a raffle ticket and, you know, give away a couple tickets to the show. And so we met Bianca and I was ready to go. I was tired. I was like, let's go home. But the lady at the Cricket Wireless was like, just stay. So we stayed. And then they raffled off the tickets and we won. And so we won tickets to go to Monday Night Raw. And so I spent the entire day with the kid. We went and got Chipotle, just walked around the city, and then we went to Barclays. And that's where I believe the club started because I saw this kid just come to life. He was doing cheering, screaming, sitting on his chair. He did the Seth Rollins dance. And so I think it's hilarious how a year later, Seth Rollins sees him doing the dance and posts it. And so and WWE posted it, I literally posted it as well. And so I was like, do you see that? Like, that's what you were doing a year ago. And I'll look at you. But like, it was just a fun time. And the next day he just bragged. He was like, I went and saw Bianca Belair. I went with Mr. Perry. We saw blah, 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 blah. We went to Monday Night Raw. So all the kids were like, man, you should have like invited us, Mr. Perry. And then I saw just kind of like, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I was like, what if we like hung out, started a club, talked about wrestling, would y'all join? It was a group of like 30 kids. And they were like, yeah. And then I was like, okay, meet me during your lunch and recess. Like, you got to sacrifice something. 4 kids show up, literally. And us 4 just had the time of our lives. Like, we just watched it. They didn't really like react like what y'all see now.
Right.
But it was fun. And it just grew. Like, it literally just progressed. Kids started hearing about it. It started coming. And then before you knew it, kids were having fun in the club. Like, they would start saying, ooh, or ah, or like, oh my God, or screaming. And then before you knew it, you have what you have now, where the kids just, I tell them every time, like, just have fun. I know we're in a school. Don't get too loud. Have fun. Express yourself.
Right.
And so now we're at 65, maybe 70 kids now that have at least signed up, and they attend at least once a week. 70 kids. Yeah.
Now, is this still during lunch time, or is this after school?
The goal was to move it after school only. But you can only have 15 kids in the class.
That's what I was wondering.
I was like, ugh. Like, another teacher, I didn't want to like have another teacher in the room and, bother them in their time. So I kept it during lunch and recess as well. So I teach 2 classes a day. I teach one during lunch and recess, which is the bulk of the kids, and then after school. And then I also have a 3rd class, which is just all girls. And we just have just the girls in the club, and we just watch Stardom and women wrestling, things like that.
So you mentioned the classes, and you kind of touched base, like the girls only classes. Can you touch base, like what exactly does that mean? Because I watched a little bit of like some previous stuff that you discussed, and you talked like, I do a class on this, I do a class on X, Y, and then Z. Can you just tell a little bit about what different, quote unquote classes, because you are a teacher, right? And you're making it fun and kind of like an academic thing. And I'm jealous because I'm like, man, where is this when I was in grade school, even high school? Like, it was like taboo to be a wrestling fan back then. So one, I just want to say thank you for everything you do for those kids. It's remarkable. But yeah, can you touch base on the class aspect of your club?
There's 3 classes. They're separated by, I would say, like the whole novice and the advanced. My after school kids, those are the kids that get the real lectures. 1, because we have the time, but 2, they are invested. So like, they're learning about New Japan Pro. Those are the ones that I took to see New Japan Pro. They're watching Impact. They're watching ROH. We watched ROH for the first time today. They're learning about promotions, promos, how to like the storytelling aspect, what like the arc of a story, like heels, babyface. They know what kayfabe is. They know what works are, which is shoots. Like, we go into the real nitty gritty. In fact, I'm going to teach them about dirt sheets soon.
Oh wow! Okay,
it's because they
awesome.
they research. It's like they're reading articles. Mercedes is I blame her for that. I still love her, but I blame Mercedes for that because when she disappeared after visiting us, literally like a week later, the kids wanted to know why, and so they would just Google, just read all this nonsense, and I'm like, guys, this is not right. Like, this is not okay. So I'm gonna teach them about like dirt sheets and what to believe and what not. But that's the advanced class. My all girls class, I would say they're novice. They're just girls who just like the girls. And I've noticed that, and I didn't want to exclude them because I want everyone to feel like they have you never know, like they may see one match and then it may open their eyes to something else. Right now, a lot of them are I just want to watch Bianca Belair and Mercedes or whatever. So I was like, okay, bet, we'll watch that, but I'm going to show you Stardom. So like now they know, okay, well, there's an all women's company named Stardom in Japan. And so like they're interested in that. And then my lunch class, I would say they're novice. It's a shorter class, so I can't really like go into like the nuances of like the different things that I would like. But they just like, I would say they're the class that if you show them a match that's not hard hitting or high flying like the ricochets, it's crickets. And so like I'm learning the kids and I'm like, okay, so y'all are gonna watch ricochet and like the high flyers, ladder matches, Royal Rumbles. By the way, I just discovered kids love Royal Rumble. I had no idea.
And like, adults too, Vic.
Yeah, adults too.
We love the Rumble, right? It's the best.
And it teaches counting backwards, so you can do that in kindergarten too.
Oh my god!
3, 2, 1.
Literally, like I was shook. So we literally been watching in the novice class for lunch the women's 2021 Royal Rumble with Bianca, and we're right at we're the final 3. So it was Charlotte, Rhea, and Bianca, and the kids are going crazy. Like we've literally watched the entire thing over the last couple of days. And so that's basically what the classes look like. They're a bunch of fun. They keep me on my toes, especially my advanced class, because I meant to say also we watch a lot of indie shows because we go to a lot of indie shows here in the area. And so like they have, and I love this. They treat the indie wrestlers just like the mainstream WWE wrestlers. Like they hold them to the same regard. And so I love they have that respect and they know like the difference only is money and the company. Like the talent is there, the talent is there. So I think that's dope.
Yeah, that's a good lead into my next question. Talking about like what the kids are seeing in the shows, and Jason, who's not here again this week, but he says this all the time when you're at a live show, you watch the kids, and we as adults, he says, we should watch wrestling like we are kids, because you know how it is with the online wrestling community. They can be very fickle. They can be very, the word I see a lot of times, tribalism. Like I like AEW, boo WWE, and vice versa. Do you see that at all with the kids, or is it really just a big love fest of appreciating what they're seeing with wrestling?
I think that's an adult thing.
Yeah, it is, right?
Yeah, kids, they just love it. In fact, they're intrigued by the different companies. They didn't know. Like one kid came up to me the other day and was like, "Can we watch GCW?" And I was like, "No." Like
no. you still want a job.
I'll be honest, Victor. That was my son or daughter you're referencing as I'm wearing my GCW shirt. No, just kidding.
What's the guy's name? Oh my god,
Nick Gage,
the guy,
friend of the show, apparently.
Slater?
Who's that?
Heath Slater.
Heath Slater.
Oh yeah. I've got kids. Heath Slater.
I don't know. He named a wrestler, and I went and watched his match. And it was a death match. And I was like, why are you watching it?
Yeah, no, I don't think that's Heath Slater. I wonder who it was.
It was some name. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like they're just Googling on the weekends, like they're researching. And so, I think they just love wrestling.
Yeah, that's great.
I think it confuses them because there's so many like indie promotions to where they just don't care anymore. Like, they just don't care. They're like, whatever, Mr. Perry, you put it on. If it's interesting, we'll react and we love it.
It's awesome.
All right, I got a question because as a fellow educator, how did you get administration to buy into this? And
I knew that was coming.
And other teachers who, as someone who does after school programs myself or other extracurriculars, you get a lot of pushback from the veteran teachers, especially when you're a young teacher and you have like all this extra bandwidth is pretty much the buzzword in the teaching community. How did you get this started where it was approved by administration, the parents, community, and fellow teachers?
Honestly, I think it has to be my work ethic. Okay. I take teaching very seriously. My data speaks for itself. My classroom management literally speaks for itself. When you come into my room, kids are listening. They're doing work. I don't have issues behavior with kids. And my relationship with parents, I would say, is great. And so I think me just having those things taken care of allowed room because there's a level of trust. They know, okay, well, if Perry is serious about this, this, and this, then this obviously must align with that. Otherwise, he wouldn't have it in his classroom, because I take it very seriously. And so I think my leadership team, they just was like, all right, well, let's see what it is, you know? And they've been supportive. My principal, the principal in residence, he's come on trips. He's chaperoned for the Monday Night Raw.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
like he watches. He wants to go to WrestleMania.
No, he watches. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he watches it every now and then. His nephew is so into it now. I teach his nephew, and his nephew is like, I want to join the club. Can I buy a hoodie? I want to go on the show. So it's like, you know, I think they see how infectious it is. And with the teachers, I literally just got a text message from a teacher. One of the chaperones, she just sent me a YouTube link, and I know it's WWE. Like, and it said in her message, not me looking at this on my free time. So like, they're starting to like, they feel it. Cause I don't know. I pride myself on being myself and being authentic. And I'm not afraid to say what I like. And I'm not afraid to show it. And I think other teachers, either they hate it and they just don't tell me, or they secretly admire it and they're like, I wish I could be the same way. And so, yeah, they volunteer. And it's a blessing, because the club has gotten so big now and I can't do it by myself. Before, I was able to take kids, you know, to a show, but now we got like 20. Every time we go out now, it's 20 plus kids. I can't do that by myself.
No.
And now I have teachers like, you know, like they're volunteering, and it means a lot to me because, you know, they don't have to. They don't even watch it. You know what I mean? But they do it anyway. And so it makes me happy to have a school that's so supportive.
That makes me happy that you have a school that supports you like that, because it's like, you know, teachers, it's like pulling teeth to get them to do their spare time to do that too.
Yeah.
Not saying anything against my profession or our profession, Victor. We get that. But to have like your teachers, like your fellow colleagues buy in like that, that is amazing. What a great school you must be at.
Yeah. And Joe, you got to clearly work on your work ethic. As Victor said, it's his work ethic that has made the club what it is. So now you know what to work on. We got the tip from the pro himself.
Well, yeah, I had the like wrestling club, like my students, because again, like Victor, like you said, you got to be transparent in the classroom. You can't like, you got to like say what you like, and you're going to get some kids who like this, have the same interests, and then you incorporate that in the classroom, and that makes it classroom management so much easier, because kids want to please teachers. They do. So ones that like act out, it's like they say it's like, oh, it's like blah 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 to classroom management. Then the reality is, what is the teacher doing to make a connection with the student too? It's not just one-sided. It's got to be both. So Victor, I applaud you for that. Something like this happened to me a few years ago. I'm just gonna be very quick because yours is way bigger. One student found out I liked wrestling. He showed up at my doorstep on a Tuesday morning, like right when I was getting there, wanting to talk about Monday Night Raw. So I let him in, and like letting a kid in before school starts, it's like, oh no, that's, and I'm like, he came in early because he wanted to talk about how Braun Strowman broke the ring against the Big Show. And I'm like, all right, come on in. The next week, more kids were showing up. So like they were coming in every Tuesday and Wednesday morning when SmackDown was on Tuesdays to talk wrestling from the night before. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to have to wake up earlier to get there because they're already waiting for me. It was like, it became a challenge to see who would get to my door first, me or them.
That's
awesome.
That touches me. That's so dope. Oh man. Cause like we can go on and on, but like for them to be that vulnerable, to trust and know that you will be receptive of that, man.
Yeah, let them in. I got my coffee. I'm good to go. Let's talk. And then the bell would ring and it'd be like, oh man, I got to teach science now. Okay.
So in that situation, like Joe and you both have, you know, that wrestling with student connection, and you guys didn't even know it, but has there been like teachers, you know, local to where you're at or in the US or any globally, like reach out to you to find out more about what you do, to be like, hey, I've wanted to do something like this. help kickstart me. You know what I mean? I have novice kids. I want them to get to know more. Like, has that, because you guys have been around for, for over a year. Have you been able to embrace other teachers, them asking you, how can I get started?
Yes. There's a teacher, I don't know his name, but I know it's in Texas. He literally just started a wrestling club. He reached out to me, was like, you inspired me. I got my principal on board. His classroom looks dope. It's the Texas Wrestling Club. So like they take off with the wrestling club, but it's the Texas version. And it's adorable. And like I told him, if you need anything, I'm here for you. And I'll tell you this story. Not a teacher, but a kid who's, I want to get it right. He's like 14, I think, but he's a sophomore in high school or junior in high school. He's like a prodigy or whatever. And he reached out to me and was like, hey, Mr. Perry, you inspired me to share my love of wrestling. And I want to do a whole presentation on it for my class, for my project. Do you have any tips and pointers on like what to say and how to reach your audience? And I took that, like, I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. So I literally I sent him like maybe a whole paragraph of like just tips. And then he told me it went well and that people applauded him. So I was like, yo, like, this is dope. Like, that's kind of reason why we made the merch. Because so many people have like shown up and shown support, and they want to be a part of this, I guess, phenomena. And I'm like, why not? We need the money too to buy tickets. Not every time we don't get comps all the time for shows. Travel is so expensive. And so like, I was like, let's create some merch, and like sell it and let people be in the club, and have a way to feel like they connect with my kids in the most safest way. And so like, it's dope when I get messages, from people who are either interested in starting their own club or just wanting to like learn more about the club. It just means a lot. Cause I don't know, when I started this year, this was not like, if you asked me back in January, and you told me all of these things would have happened, I would have been like, go somewhere and sell your Florida swamp water to someone else. Like stop. You know what I mean? So it's dope.
So, and that's what I was asking. So the club's been around for about a year or so, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. So what I want to know, because it's been a year and it's exploded in the wrestling community online. You have a following probably across the world, I imagine. Do your administrators, do your fellow teachers, do they have an understanding of just how the wrestling club has this embraced feeling from like the wrestling community? Because this is like a legit big thing that people, like you said, across the country know about. Just from your school, it has made such a big impact. Do they know that? Do they have that understanding? No.
They don't. They didn't even like when Mercedes came, or when I proposed, like when the idea came, they didn't understand the gravity of it.
Yeah, right.
Until she came, and then they were like, "Whoa," you know what I mean? And then when Swerve and Keith came, it was still kind of like the same thing, And like I was telling my principal about how many units we've almost sold out of merch, and I think he understands it, but I don't think he understands it because they're not a part of the community. So like they don't know like the reach or the impressions and the views, that we've gotten. Yeah. But it's okay. I think they're seeing it in glimpse. Like we raised our money for WrestleMania. A fan had a sign and it showed up on SmackDown saying "Fund the Wrestling Club." Like I always
come on, how cool is that?
Like, oh my God, like what? Like I send snapshots to my team, my leadership team, and they see it and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing." But no, I don't think they know.
That's cool.
But it's okay.
Yeah,
like no big deal that News 12, one of the biggest news stations, requested and came to our school last week. Like no big deal, like.
Yeah, a sign clearly on SmackDown where over 2 million people are watching on Fox national television. Like, and that's you in your school with your 65 kids. And the teachers like, I figured that would be the answer. It's just like, oh, that's cool, but they don't understand it like we understand
Crazy.
it. It's amazing.
Right.
I was shook. I was like, what? Why? And like, there's a man now, he's going to be on AEW. He bought the shirt. And he's like front row, and he's like, I hope it gets on camera. I want people to see the shirt. I'm just like, y'all are so generous, so kind. Because what they're doing, what they're allowing is for the club to have more people to see it, which means more support, which means more opportunities for more kids. And so when those things like that happen, it means a lot to me.
So I'm like thinking as a teacher right now too, we know that we have a lot of kids out there who just like to think that social media and being a YouTuber is the end all be all game. It's either you're a professional YouTuber or you're a professional athlete. There's no like in between. Right. Now, both of them take a lot of hard work. I'm wondering, thinking back to, I'm going to call them now, I just thought of it, the OWC, the original wrestling club, those first four. Do they see, are they still part of the club? That's one. And another one, they know how much work took to make it this big. Do they also act as mentors to the new WC to show them that it's not just you could put a camera in front of you and you're going to get 1 million views and all this support? Like, how do those you're creating student leaders. You know that. We all know that. How do those leaders help the next generation of the OC?
It's crazy that you asked that question. Oh my gosh. They have changed so much.
I knew it.
Like, and they lead the wrestling club for most of it. They're helping me pick matches. If not, they're telling me what match to watch. They're transitioning kids from lunch to the classroom. They're in charge of like getting the trash together. You have some of like one of the four, the main kid who started it. He's like me, and it's so funny because it's like I never saw that in him as in 5th and 6th, but now that he's in 7th grade, I'm like, yo, you're a lot like me. And like he'll be like, Mr. Perry, they're over there talking, they're not paying attention. Can we kick them out? They're not taking it seriously. And I'm like, yo, relax.
The enforcers over here.
Like I'm so happy you're creating lifelong learners, like like in the club, but in other classrooms too. So I'm guessing that's another reason why teachers are more on board with you too. It's like they're getting totally different kids and creating leaders, especially at this age, 5th, 6th, 7th grade. Yeah. Oh man, that's just like makes my heart get bigger 3 sizes like the Grinch, because Jason always says I'm so negative, but like Victor, like a person like you on the show makes me so happy to see like you're making an impact on the future. And I'm sure you hear this all the time, but from a fellow educator, it's just like I'm so happy that this is happening.
Much love. Thank you.
And you mentioned the like kids come in novice and everything. Do you see a lot of the students kind of like bust out of their shells that are maybe just like quiet, like you know what I mean, like almost like hoping to be accepted into something that they're a fan of, and they see this, and like, do you ever get like calls from parents like, you've helped my kid become more personable, you helped my kid be able to communicate with maybe me more at home? Like, do you ever get those like calls from parents like giving you compliments or things like that?
I have. One parent actually posted it on Twitter this past summer, and it went kind of viral. People were like, whoa, like this is crazy, because I'm an educator, and so I think about how to teach kids, but sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm just like, and you might have experienced this, Joe, like you're just going with the motion,
Oh, yeah.
Like you're not thinking about the impact that you're having. And so I taught kids how to do promos in the summer, and this one kid, I taught him to go from 5th and 6th grade, doesn't talk, struggled to read and write, was behind, I believe, on grade level, but he passed the state test, and he's now on grade level. and he was in the wrestling club. And he would get in front of the camera, which was bizarre, and cut promos like nothing. And I was like, my good friend Carmelo Hayes, I love him. He's like a big supporter of the club. Was like, when he saw his video, he was like, yo, this kid is crazy. He's dope. And like I told the kid, and I was like, yo, do you see this guy telling you that you're dope? Like, believe in yourself. And like, his mother reached out and she posted on Twitter. She's like, he's always struggled, with reading and writing. It was never his favorite subject. And then speaking in front of other people, something he never does. But to see him in the wrestling club and get in front of cameras and deliver promos so convincingly, she was like, you're changing the world. And it made me stop and think, teaching them public speaking, like
100%,
like communications, like,
yeah.
Never thought about that at all when we're like, let's create promos, And
Right.
So, yeah, I get those messages and it means a lot, but I see it. You don't have to tell me. I see the kids. I know the kids. So I'm seeing the growth. Like those 4, it is insane how much those 4 kids have grown in just a year. Like they're not the same kid. They're far more mature. Like we're going on a panel literally on Saturday, this coming Saturday, and those 4 kids are going to talk about the wrestling club in front of adults. Had I told them they were going to do that last year, they'd be like, Mr. Perry, I'm not talking in front of no adults. What are you talking about? Now they're like, oh yeah, I can't wait. They were like, I got my list right here, what I want to do, blah, 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 blah. I was like, oh my gosh, like y'all are you're like little young leaders.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm seeing a positive impact on grades as well with the kids, because they want, like, I have a GPA requirement. If you don't have a 3.0, you can't be in the club. So
That's
kids
awesome.
are getting their grades in because they want to be in the club.
Man.
Yeah, I have the same thing with basketball. It's like same thing I've heard. Like you're a student athlete. The first line is student. If you're not a student, you're not an athlete. But Victor, I do want to see those 4, like for your merch store, with an NWO inspired shirt that says OWC with the W in the middle. I want to see that shirt made. I will buy that shirt. I know I'm not an original part of it, but I want those 4 to be repping the OWC shirt, Original Wrestling Club.
I will do that, but I think that's going to cause some division in the club.
Oh, okay. You got a point.
Okay.
You got a point. Okay.
That's the only thing the kids.
Never mind.
Because the kids, because like when we go on trips, so like I've because we have so many kids now, I don't do repeaters, unfortunately. So like if you go on this trip, you don't get to go on the next one because I can only take so many kids. But those 4, they always go.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, you could promote it as, since other schools are doing it, you're still the OWC, but those 4 are really
Gotcha.
the Hall, Nash, Hogan of the group.
Thanks.
You might have to do just like a super limited edition just for them or something.
Just make 4.
Let me talk
just
to
make
my
Right.
let me talk to the person that does my logos.
Yeah.
I'll tell them we'll do a limited 25 only.
Victor,
Nice.
you've touched on this a little bit about the wrestlers that have visited. Sasha Banks, Keith Lee, Swerve Strickland, they were there just a couple of weeks ago with AEW. Have there been others? And just how special have those appearances been for the students and for you as well? Because I have to imagine, there's probably a little bit of marking out and a lot of pride in that this is actually coming together for your kids.
Yeah. Mercedes is my favorite wrestler. So like for that to go down, it was dope. And I love Keith and Swerve. We have a lot of people who are interested, and it's just all about timing and like planning, but we have a lot of different people who are interested, all the way ranging from referees to the talent themselves, including correspondence, things like that. And this is where this is teachable part of the lesson in the club is I'm begging for those people to come. The creative writer, like we have a Zoom coming up with one of the NXT writers, and
how cool is
then
that?
we have commentators, because I want them to see these are rules and these are jobs that you can potentially have, and I want you to know what it is, because had someone grabbed me at 10 years old and told me, yeah, you're short, so you're not going to probably be a wrestler. and you don't like weights, because like I don't like being fit or whatever. I'm just small. And so like, but they said, but you could still be in wrestling. You know, you could be a manager or a correspondent or a creative writer, or, you know, my whole life would have been different. And so I have these kids, they're 10 years old, 10, 11, 12. And I'm just doing all that I can to introduce them to every facet of wrestling, in hopes that, not that they get a job, but in hopes that they go and do their research for whatever it is that they're passionate about. To know that, hey, if I can't be a doctor, maybe there's another role that I could be in the world of medicine, you know, or if I can't be a football player, that doesn't mean I can't be around football. It's the same thing with wrestling, maybe journalism or broadcasting or coaching, or, you know, anything that physical therapy, you know, like I just want kids to know, like, there's not one option. I think a lot of kids in my community, they think that the only option is the one that they're given. That's not true. You create as many possibilities as you can through hard work and through looking, you know, just simply looking. And so it's my job, I think, as an educator, to really immerse them into like the workforce as it relates to wrestling, not just the entertainment aspect. Because let's face it, not every kid is going to be a wrestler, and that's okay. But some of my kids are some dope writers. They can write stories. Some of my kids love fashion. You can be a seamstress. Some of my kids are animated, and you give them a mic, and they're like, perfect. You could be the next correspondent. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's the real point I have of bringing people to the school. It's not for if we didn't have to film it, cool. I don't care if the world knows that such and such came to the school. My thing is, I want my kids to see these people in the flesh, to see that, hey, you can touch this. This is your reality. Go and get it.
Nice. I've watched a lot of your videos, like basically because I just love to see the kids' reactions. There's a lot of like, you know, since this is a wrestling club, it's the "this is awesome" moments that you've experienced a lot of. There are two for me that still stand out from the past year. Out of all the matches that you've watched with your students, which one is your "this is awesome" moment that you always go back going like, that's when I knew I got them? I can share my two while you're thinking. Number one was when they watched Hell in the Cell, Foley and Undertaker, just seeing them react. It's like, this is from the 90s. This is way past, before their time. They don't care about the 90s. And the other one was their anger and confusion of the end of the Montreal screw job.
Oh, wow.
Those are my two of all the ones I've watched of your class. And by the way, last week's kid who was with the Seth Rollins laugh is still in my head. But those are the two matches that I've seen from your Twitter feed where I was like, this guy's got it. Do you have any that like you were there live that you're like, I was there for that?
Those are dope. Those two. I would say, for me, it was the Okada and Omega match.
Oh, good.
Because I initially I started showing them a highlight video. And it was like, we were like 30 seconds in, the kid said, turn it off. We want to watch the match. And I was like, the match is almost an hour. We don't care. And I was like, what? Like, y'all gonna sit here and watch an hour-long match? And I put it on. And when I tell you, those kids did not stop looking at the screen. They were glued to the screen for the entire hour. And I saw their emotions go from quiet to like, you could tell it was new. Like, New Japan is just a beast of wrestling, and the style is different from WWE. So I could see them learning it and trying to understand what's happening, to them jumping out of their seats at the end, going crazy over the Rainmaker. Like, it was dope. And then for that to happen, and then a week later, we get to see Okada in person. Like, that was crazy. Like, and I think that's where, like, I realized when they're quiet doesn't mean they're not interested. It means in their brain, they're thinking and trying to process what it is they're visually seeing, especially with someone that doesn't look like them. because if it's Bianca Belair or Mercedes or even Carmella, they're just going to cheer regardless. They look like them. But to have an Asian or a white man, and you're just like, this is awesome. This is crazy. Like, that's when you know, like, they are lost in the art of it. And that's when you know that, okay, you got something going with these kids.
They're processing it and then getting those reactions that anybody would for watching such great stuff. Victor, we're getting low on time. I want to be sensitive and get you over to watching AEW real quick. You touched on it. The wrestling club is going to WrestleMania in LA. Our guy Jay is out in LA. Hopefully he can run into you. Maybe some of us are going to. We don't know. We'll see about that. There was a GoFundMe. I mean, talk really quickly about how that came together. And like, I mean, apparently it sounds like the goal has been surpassed. I mean, what an incredible achievement that must be.
Yeah. No worry for time. I have AEW like on the screen over here so I can see it.
Good deal.
So
all right.
We're good.
All right. No spoilers, Victor. No spoilers. We'll be watching in a minute. All right.
No spoilers.
All right. Unless Punk comes out or something, then you can cut off the interview right then.
Do we really care?
No.
I'm just saying.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
I have to be politically correct. Anyways.
No, go for it.
Not on here.
Actually, you're just correct.
Oh, okay. I see. So the GoFundMe, it was brought to me from a few podcasts, the Black Wrestling, the A Show, and the Black Announce Table. They reached out and was like, we should do a GoFundMe for you, for Mr. Perry, for the kids. And I was like, sure. Like at first I was kind of hesitant because everything was just, y'all don't understand. It went from 4 kids to 20 kids to 25 kids to putting it on social media to going from like 1,000 followers to 5,000 followers, going from retweets to hundreds of retweets to me talking to Mercedes to WWE. Like it was just a lot that happened in those months. And I was just like, hold on, like, I don't know if I want to do this. Like, this is crazy. And I trusted them. And it look where we are, you know, it was miraculous with the support that we received. And I remember my first interview request and I was like, no. And then they were
wow.
And they were like, no, you have to do that, Mr. Perry. Like, that's how you get more exposure. And I was like, why you want to talk to me? You know what I mean? But now I see and understand why it's necessary. But like, it's everything really has just been happening all year this year. It's just been like a lot. It's just like, and I'm just having to navigate, you know, in my head, I'm a creative. I do music. So I'm also thinking, well, how can I keep this creative? You know, do I do a YouTube channel? I know my kids say they want to do like the bump, like a version of the bump. Do I really start that up? Like what makes most sense for the wrestling club and for me? Because, you know, I'm still teaching 4 classes a day that are ELA, you know, and then I'm doing all that. So it's just like, you know, the GoFundMe was just, it was not difficult. You just created it and you just put it on the internet. And people were gracious and generous and they donated. And now we're able to take 4 kids, hopefully 5, to WrestleMania next year. And I'm really excited about it.
Will that be your first WrestleMania too for you personally?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How cool is that?
That's awesome.
So
with you being a teacher, you know, there's a lot of planning involved, a lot of foreseeing in the future. And you mentioned like, you know, starting to do interviews. That's how it's seen. And your kids want to do things like, you know, the bump. Like what is like the future have in store for you and your club? Like if you can, in a best case scenario, 1 year from now, the end of 2023, like where would you like to see it grow from now to say like then? Because going to WrestleMania that's huge. Like that's like a mecca. Those kids are going to feel like so high. How do you keep like building even higher? Not saying, oh, go to WrestleMania again or anything like that. Like, and I know you probably have things in your brain like I've got this covered. You know what I mean? Or things like that. Because I commend you and Joe both for being teachers. Like it is something that I don't think I personally could do. I just don't have the mindset, which is amazing. But like, what's in store for your club?
I don't have any plans. You know, it started organically, unplanned, and I'm just gonna let it be that way. It's too difficult. It is too much in my mind to plan something out. So I'm just gonna go with the flow.
You're going to challenge the principal to a match at the next pep rally.
What is it? A Money in the Bank to see who runs the school for the week?
I would not want to run a school.
I understand. I never want to be a principal with all the.
I don't like adults.
Look at the bonding between Victor and Joe right now. The bromance is real.
We get it. I don't
Right?
I never want to be a principal either.
Me neither. I don't even want to be a leader. I tried it, did it, done it. No, next.
Hey, that the teacher from Texas, you and Joe, you guys are going to have your own little faction.
Yes.
Nice.
Now that I will do.
There you go.
Three count. We'll teach math and wrestling.
You'll do the math because I ain't teaching no math. Okay.
All right.
I'm not.
You guys each have your strengths, so that's going to work out just
That's
fine.
right. That's
Mine's
right.
more history, so I got that.
We'll work
So you
on
can
it.
teach the kids the history of wrestling.
There you go. I'll talk about Buddy Rogers and Bruno and
Gorgeous George, chapter
Exactly.
1. Yeah, right. All right, Victor. Before we say goodbye, feel free, plug out your socials. You mentioned the merchandise. I know that dropped just a couple of weeks ago. Was checking that out. Anything that you want people to know about the wrestling club, feel free to share that with our listeners and viewers.
Of course. Just follow us. We have merch. You'll see links to that. But you can follow me on Twitter, Wallfire Perry, and TikTok, The Wrestling Club. And just stay tuned. We have a lot coming.
Absolutely. I was checking out your Spotify too, my friend. Very good stuff. Nearly like 20 million listens, like all together?
Yeah.
Like 800 some thousand a month, I think I read. I mean, that's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, music is another love of mine. It's taken a back burner this year, but hopefully my goal is to do music with wrestling companies. I would love to do theme songs.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something I'm going to push for in the coming 2023.
Awesome. Victor, we can't thank you enough for your time. This has been fantastic. I would love to do this again down the road sometime. On behalf of all of us, keep doing what you're doing. We love seeing it. We love seeing the kids. It's clearly making a big impression on them. And that's a really, really special thing. So thanks so much for your time, my friend. And we'll be looking for bigger and better things from you and the wrestling club as we head into 2023.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me. This is so fun. Thank you so much.
Well, guys, that was a lot of fun. Wow. What a great guy, man. Victor Perry. Again, at Wallflower Perry is his Twitter, and you can keep up on all things that he's doing with the wrestling club at his school. Great guy, great thing that he's doing. And it looks like we'll have him again on the program sometime down the road. So really, really happy with how that all went down. A little out of order for this week, but it is still the three of us. And Victor couldn't. He got home just before the interview, so he wasn't rocking a wrestling shirt, and we didn't want to insult our guest and be like, boo, do it. So we'll do it now. It's What Are You Wearing? What are you wearing? What are you wearing? What are you wearing today? What are you wearing? What are you wearing? What are you wearing today? Yes, a modified version of What Are You Wearing for this week with the three of us. Again, Jason's enjoying the Lakers game tonight. I will start. I'm wearing the GCW shirt. We talked about it briefly in the interview with Victor, and the news came out just the other day that all GCW shows moving forward are going to be on Fight Plus for $4.99 a month. So it's like basically the GCW network, along with some other indie promotions, are signing up for this service. $4.99 a month. You can watch all the archives and every show that they do from now on. So a hell of a deal. I think it's going to give them even more exposure as like really, if not the top, one of the top indie promotions in the United States. Joe, go ahead, buddy.
I'm going with my Chase the Light Ali shirt Mustafa Ali because he's actually got a match on a premium live event, and he won a match this week.
He did. Wait, what match does he have at the
Don't
PLE?
they? Oh wait, no, he doesn't. I thought they were gonna have it be him versus Seth, but they didn't announce anything.
No,
Yeah.
Oh, you're thinking
no.
main
As a
event.
Oh, come on, don't be a hater. You're such a hater, Kevin.
No worries. All right. Yes, he did have a good Monday, though. That's for sure. And looked great as always. And Kev?
Yeah, if Victor touched base on, you can, go into his club's social media, links to his merch, his OG merch officially. I'm wearing the OG That Wrestling Podcast shirt this week officially.
Yes, at whatamaneuver.net, you can still pick that up. So Crown Jewel is Saturday in Saudi Arabia, at least as of time of recording. Here we are Wednesday night. News broke yesterday, Tuesday, that Saudi Arabia had to warn the United States that they may be facing an attack, I think from Iran, I think I read. So there's clearly some unrest there. And we certainly hope if the show does go on that everybody gets there safely, gets home safely. Definitely a situation that I'm sure they're monitoring very closely.
Who would have thought there was unrest in the Middle East? That just popped up out of nowhere, like an RKO.
Oh,
That's all for tonight.
And we're done.
I'm not going to follow up a joke with that. That was a perfect joke. Well said. Let's go down the card. Victor said this. I didn't have this in my rundown, but I'm going to trust him on this. Dakota and Io looking to get the women's tag belts back from Asuka and Alexa Bliss. A rematch apparently going down at Crown Jewel. Asuka and Bliss, they won the titles on Monday Night Raw. We got the immediate rematch going on. Joe, you could start, I guess.
I'm going to go with Bliss and Asuka. I don't think it's going to be a flip-flop for that quickly. I don't think so, but I've been wrong before.
Kev?
I saw this match get announced earlier.
Okay, you did
with a graphic. I'll go with Damage Control just for the fact where if Damage Control loses, I feel that they do not need to be a group anymore. And just with, I feel like Nikki could get involved somehow just in the backstage shenanigans a little bit where she was sitting on, the speaker or whatever cabinet. She's going to play a role in it somehow. I don't like the flip flop of titles, but I definitely see it happening for the heels to win.
All right. I'm going with Joe as well. And maybe for the reasons that you said, Kev, that we'll get into later with the Bayley Bianca match, that I think Asuka and Bliss keep the belts. The other tag team, the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship, the Usos, Jay and Jimmy versus the Brawling Brutes. I think the Usos, would they just break the record, or they're about to, for longest reign, I believe?
Not yet.
No, it's maybe, it's in the coming days. I think they're right on the cusp of it. I still got to go with the Usos. It's just, the Brutes are amazing. The match will be so fun, but I don't see this happening in Saudi Arabia. I know Sammy won't be there. Sammy does not go to the Saudi Arabia show, so no involvement there. So maybe that puts a little bit of hesitation on me, but I guess I'm probably still picking the Usos until they actually lose, right? They've just won so much.
I agree. It's not a big enough event for the Usos to lose.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yep. Bianca and Bayley, last women standing for the Raw Women's Championship. I'm going with Bianca, and I think it's because of that reasoning with the tag belts being moved over to Asuka and Bliss that I think this will be the end of Damage Control. Like you said, Kev, for your reasoning, even though you went the opposite way, that's the way that I am thinking. I think that this is going to be it, that Bianca's going to win. And oh my, we've got a special guest live from crypto.com arena. Let's see here. Live from crypto.com arena.
That LeBron.
It's Russell Westbrook.
Will Westbrook be coming off the bench tonight? Our LA Laker insider, Jason, is here.
I am here. I'm in the parking garage at the crypto.com arena.
About to
On the
answer
road.
who's gonna win, Bianca or Bailey.
You know, with Damage Control losing the tag belts on Monday, I think this is Bailey wins.
Oh, see, I
think-
went the opposite.
But do you think Damage Control wins the titles back?
No, I think Asuka Bliss win, so that means Bailey loses and Damage Control goes away.
I think I'm also with Brian.
You're thinking the
Control,
opposite.
Alt,
Yeah.
delete.
Well, I mean, I think that the team could break up. I mean, it should break up because as I've noted multiple times in recent weeks, I think it's trash. But you know, I think that I was very surprised when they lost the belts on Monday.
Yeah. Yep.
Did
How
not
about-
see that coming.
How about Braun and Omos?
Ooh.
Part of me thinks this is Omos because I listened to the Q3 earnings call earlier today. They're going to Nigeria in the next couple of weeks for a recruiting training session.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more to this that I can't talk about on this show with people that I know that work there going to Nigeria. You guys know who I'm talking about, but and I just
It's Hulk
did what I
Hogan.
fucking hate. God damn it. I hate that shit. That's subtle bullshit. So I think this is Omos all the way.
Okay. All right. Kev?
The rocket has been on Omos. They can't bring it down. Which was just it's kind of similar to Omos and Braun is kind of similar to Brock and Bobby a little bit because it could go either way. Both matches. That's the fun thing. I definitely think Bobby and Brock will be the better match. I just hope Braun Omos isn't a stinker. That's the biggest thing.
What if they become a tag team?
Hell yeah.
I'll take it.
They'll be
As in which pair?
It'll be
Omos
called
and Strowman.
Yeah, I would even take Brock Bobby as an unbelievable monster tag team.
Ooh, okay.
That would be awesome.
Strowman and Omos would be funny. That's the thing because Braun is as intimidating as he is. He's still a little bit comical. Where Omos, I think, is a nightmare. I just don't want the match to be a nightmare, and that's my biggest.
Okay.
fear.
Remember back in the day when somebody teamed up and they were a recreation and they were the new fill in the blank?
He's been thinking of this.
Omos, Braun, Bobby, Brock, the new Hurt Business.
Yeah.
See, I was thinking you combined, the nicknames of Omos and Braun, they'd be called the Nigerian Monsters.
Oh
No, that doesn't work though. does
That
it?
doesn't work.
no.
All right, back to the drawing
Stromos.
board.
Stromos. It's like Askai.
Yes.
Stromos.
Stromos.
Damn it. Why did we save this for a future 5 count of top 5 names for the
Well, after last
Omos
week, we may not
Strowman
have to
tag
do.
team?
We may never do a 5 count again.
I know. Joe, do you have a pick on this one?
Not really. It's like I think either one of them can win. I don't think a loss will hurt either one of them either because they're both still monsters. So
Yeah.
I'll just go with Omos for the whole Nigerian future event.
I'll go with Braun just because he's still brand new coming back that I don't think he gets a loss. But I don't know. MVP's in there. Maybe there's some shenanigans. Drew McIntyre, Karrion Kross, steel cage match.
This feud has been boring to me for the past month. I think they should have ended it at Extreme Rules.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go with Drew just to end it.
I think it's got to be Cross just to end it.
I think Cross just ended as well.
I'll go Drew, like you said,
Just to end it.
I'm fine with that. I think hopefully the steel cage keeps Scarlett away, whereas she had to jump in the ring during the strap match at Extreme Rules. Brock and Bobby, guys, coin flip.
I really want Bobby to win this one. Brock doesn't need it. He'll make Bobby look like $1 million, and it's going to be a really entertaining match. I'm going with Bobby.
If Bobby can beat Brock, okay, Brock goes away for a little bit. and then Bobby like breaks Brock's arm or something and just goes on a tear as being a unbelievable monster. But then when you get to that level, you have Omos, right? Is a monster going against 4 jobbers in the ring. You know, you have Braun and SmackDown. So that it's confusing. I still think Bobby, I think Brock wins. It doesn't do anything.
I just read a story that Goldberg wants to have one final match. Person that wants that final match is
against Ric Flair.
Ryback.
Oh,
That's night 1 WrestleMania pre-show right there.
yeah, it is. Load it up. Load it up.
Speaking of WrestleMania, Brian, is there any update of you and Ryan DeBar coming? Yeah.
This is a weekly thing now, isn't it? Okay.
Until I get the answer that I want. Yes.
Right. I got you. Okay. No update as of now.
Okay.
But we did, as you'll hear when you get to listen, Jay, Victor Perry and the Wrestling Club will be going to LA.
Awesome.
We told him, you'll be there and we're working on it. So good times nonetheless. But yes, we'll
the reason I bring it up
tune
too
in
is
next week.
I don't know if you heard, but I listened to the Q3 earnings call today,
Mhm.
and they said that in 2 days of WrestleMania ticket sales, with nothing announced, they've sold over 100,000 seats.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing stuff. It's going to be huge. Did you give a pick, Jay, for Brock and Bobby?
I don't care. I mean, it's going to be a fun one either way.
Yeah.
We'll go double count out.
Oh, like it. I like that. I'll go Brock.
Because they need to continue it for a couple more pay-per-views.
True.
Right.
That's true. All right. I hope you're right. We got the OC versus Judgment Day 6-man tag match. They've been teasing that. I think it's been a little bit on camera, but definitely some of the like Raw talk stuff that like we need somebody to neutralize Rhea. And does somebody show up to neutralize Rhea at Crown Jewel?
Well, it has to be someone that's not on the roster. It has to be a debut, I think. Not an NXT debut, like a debut. And I don't know. I mean, the one that I would love, but I don't think there's any connection, would be Karma. Awesome Kong. Welfare lady.
Wow.
Well, because you can't have someone like Chelsea Green to,
No, not intimidating enough. Or Sasha.
Sasha. No, I think she's going to be her own bag. Some people think it might be Raquel. I read today Tegan Knox, because she's, but if she comes back, she's just going to blow out both of her knees like she's done the last 4 times she's come back. So
she's so little. Like you need someone that looks physically intimidating next to Rhea. Dude, and as sad as this sounds, I wish she was busy filming Glow. Right?
Glow 4.
And I hate it that it still got canceled. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think Judgment Day wins, but I don't know who the woman is for Rhea. I mean, look, it could be Beth Phoenix, but that makes no sense.
No.
AJ's never had any connections to women on the main roster.
But he has, and I will reveal after Joe makes his pick.
I'm gonna go with Judgment Day because I just want to hear what you got to say. Judgment Day, go Brian.
Charlotte Flair.
Whoa! What was his connection to AJ?
They were a team together in the Mixed Match Challenge from a couple years ago. AJ and Flair. Listen, we've all been like, the Queen, the whole thing. It's been so
Speak for
much.
Yourself.
Speaking for you, buddy. You want to freshen her up. You have her come back with like the black leather jacket, some like ripped up jeans, and just sure, whatever. But just not the robe, not the aura of the Queen. Just have her be a badass chick against a badass Rhea. You talk about physically, like you said, with your choice there, Jay. She's got it. That's not Tegan Knox.
Those two have history.
So that's my choice. I'm not betting on it happening, but boy, would I love to see it.
The problem with that is, Brian, it's been Gallows and Anderson saying we got to get somebody to negate Rhea. It's not like AJ said it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but maybe AJ is going to go, guys, I got it. Okay. You two boneheads can't figure it out. So
is there anyone in, I don't know my New Japan that much, but,
they don't have women in New Japan.
No, I mean, I understand that, but is there anyone that is affiliated with the, say like, Maria, right? That type of thing. If her husband wrestled in New Japan, like that type of stuff, when the club were there, that they have those types of clips.
Gallows' ex-wife, Amber O'Neal, was the Bullet Babe. Now they're not married anymore.
Okay. That puts a wrench into that plan.
So Charlotte Flair.
Yes. Okay. You heard it here first.
The only thing shiny in her would be the nice shiny teeth if she wears all that leather.
Love
like
it.
Brian wants.
That's
Charlotte is a good pick.
Thank you.
And nobody would see it coming.
Exactly.
Except for Brian.
Except for Brian.
It's all up here. Roman versus Logan Paul. Jay, do you have the stones to pick Logan Paul to be the new champion? Because if anybody would, it would be you.
You know, I just was talking to a friend of the show, Mike Doherty, on my drive down to the crypto.com arena, and we were talking about it. Look, I'm all for the disruption. Let Logan win on Saturday, lose it on Monday. I don't care.
Okay.
But obviously, I mean, I think that it's going to be Roman Reigns. Now, I don't know if you heard, but I listened to the Q3 earnings call earlier today.
You mentioned it 3 times.
They brought up, will Jake Paul be with Logan in Saudi Arabia?
Okay. So there you go. Some neutralization of the bloodline there.
Yeah. But like I said, I'm all for Logan Paul winning. Realistically, I don't think it's going to happen. So, you know, I mean, Roman, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with Jay. I just want Logan to have as good of a match against Roman that he had at SummerSlam. That's the thing.
Well,
guy in he's an athletic freak, right? In his dance partner Roman is incredible in the ring too. So I think the match will be great. I think there will be some shenanigans. I think Logan's gonna, fight off the Usos. Maybe the Miz gets somewhat involved since Roman, Superman punched him on Monday. But Roman's gonna, I would have to say, stank eye. Roman 100% winning.
Joe?
Roman wins.
Roman wins. I'm with you. Roman wins. But I think it's going to be a hell of a match. I'm really looking forward to that. All right. So that is Crown Jewel. Quick update on the football picks. The kids are tied. The kids are on their bye week, but Saturday we are going to have the reaction video that Jason did, as Kevin boldly proclaimed last week that if you watch any episode of the football picks, this is the one to watch. The Halloween episode with Brett's picks and Harper's picks. And so we will reveal that on Saturday, Jay's live reaction, and we'll see if it does live up to the hype.
I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah. We'll talk about it next week.
The video will speak for itself.
Exactly. Yep. So check that out on our Facebook on Saturday. Of course, youtube.com/thatwrestlingpodcast, whatamaneuver.net for the merchandise, and at that WrestlePod for all your social media channels. Thanks again to Victor Perry. Thank you for listening. Enjoy wrestling. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening. Follow That WrestlePod on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube.
1, 2, 3, that's it!
Thanks for watching That Wrestling Podcast on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And for more That Wrestling Podcast content, follow @ThatWrestlePod on social media.